Hi guys, guess what everybody is saying that our dear Prime Minister Anwar has sold our country to Trump sold our country to Trump by signing the agreement on reciprocal trade, the ART agreement with Trump at the Asian Summit last October. Now, who has said this? Who is everybody? Opposition, obviously. Azmin Ali, the Secretary General of Perikatan Nasional. Hamzah Zainuddin, the number 2 of Perikatan Nasional. I have said it. Also, I'm going to include Mahathir in the list. Mahathir doesn't really belong with the opposition, but I'm just going to include him as part of the opposition. Mahathir, as a matter of fact, has been most vociferous in his condemnation of Anwar. He basically said that Anwar has betrayed Merdeka by signing this trade agreement. And most recently, guess what? Even Anwar's own teammate, Rafizi Ramli, Nik Nazmi, and Wong Chen came out with a press statement yesterday, 13th of November. And basically what they are doing is they are confirming what people like Azmin, Hamzah, and Mahathir are alleging, which is that Anwar has surrendered our economic sovereignty to the United States. There you have it. Now, I'm not going to go to the detail about why they said it. If you want to find out the detail, you can Google it. I'm pretty sure that you can find it. I'll leave some link in the description below. You can check it out there as well. But for the sake of this video, I'm just going to say that I think I'm just going to categorically agree with Azmin and Rafizi and Mahathir and say that, hey, you know what, they are probably right. The trade agreement that Anwar signed with Trump is probably lopsided and can be considered as a form of arm twisting against Malaysia by Trump's America. Obviously, Anwar doesn't think so. Anwar and the government don't think so, obviously. But you know what? I'm just gonna go on a limb that I think it's probably true what the opposition and Mahathir are saying, and also Anwar's own teammate like Rafizi and Wong Chen and Nik Nazmi are saying that hey, that agreement, that trade agreement, is probably against us, not in favor of us. So, on what basis am I making this assumption? You ask, if you ask. Now, my assumption that leads me to this conclusion is that this is my reading of who Donald J. Trump is. When I look at Donald J. Trump, what I see is basically a third world boss. I see a third world boss, and as anyone from the developing world knows, third world bosses have a distinct style of deal making. They have a knack of knowing who is desperate enough to agree to a lopsided deal, and they have no qualms in using that knowledge to squeeze or exploit those who are desperate to make a deal with them to their benefit. This is the speciality of third world bosses. Now, Trump loves to market his art of the deal as some kind of strategic brilliance, but his art of the deal to me is nothing more than the garden variety exploitation method that every petty factory owner, contractor, sweatshop boss, even restaurant owners in a third world country uses to squeeze profit from their hapless and desperate employees, usually foreign workers. Now, it doesn't take a genius to decipher the modus operandi of a third world boss. This is how they operate. First, they will study you to see whether you are in a desperate state. They will, for example, see if you have a lot of mouths to feed, if you got a lot of children, or if any family member of yours is sick or hospitalized, or if you are addicted to something like gambling or whatever. And if the answer is yes, there is something that is causing you to be desperate, then they will likely give you a job offer in a take it or leave it manner, knowing full well that you will take it because you are in a desperate situation. Once you take the job, then they will trap you further by maybe doing things like withholding your passport in the Malaysian example, withholding your salary, causing you to be in debt to them, or sometimes even hire the local thug to maybe threaten you so that you will toe the line. And once you are nicely trapped, then they will continue to squeeze you, get more out of you by paying you less and taking more out of you by making you work more, for example. And the more they are able to exploit you in this way, the more they will profit, and the more they profit, they guess what, they will think that they are clever, that they are smart business people, and imagine themselves to be masters of the art of the deal, as Trump would call it. So when Trump, he launched his global tariff war, for example, he was essentially doing the same thing that any third world boss would do, just in a global scale, in a macro scale. But it's basically the same thing that a third world boss would do. First, he created a desperation worldwide through the tariffs, by imposing the tariffs, so that nations would come begging to him for deals, And now, after having cornered the economies of many nations, he's offering them agreements, offering them deals, dressed up as partnership, when in truth they are probably submission paper. It's one-sided. They are not going to favor other people. They're just going, other nations, they're just going to favor Trump. Now, not only Malaysia, I'm pretty sure that Trump is coming up with this sort of deal, this third world boss sort of deal, to many other countries in the world. Not just Malaysia, I'm pretty sure a lot of other countries probably have to grapple with this third world sort of deal. When Malaysia gets a third world deal like this, I think it's not our job to debate whether it's fair, because guess what, there is no deal offered by a third world boss ever in the history of mankind that is ever fair. You can ask any foreign worker in Malaysia, the terms offered by a third world boss, especially if they think you're desperate enough to need them more than they need you, is always exploitative, always one-sided, always testing the limits of your self-respect and dignity. This is just the way it is. This is what third world bosses do. This is how their deals are. But practically speaking, if you ever find yourself in a situation where you are trapped in a lopsided, exploitative and unfair deal with a third world boss, guess what, protesting against it might not be the best move that you can make, because here's the bitter truth. This is the cold hard truth. Protesting against this sort of deals rarely helps. And they also have a tendency of only making things even worse. Now, foreign workers in Malaysia, for example, who protest against their exploitative employers, rarely find justice. More often they will find themselves with worse conditions. They'll get their wages will be unpaid. Maybe police report will be filed against them. Guess what? Maybe they might be beaten up also. Now, this is the ground truth. You can just ask any foreign worker, any NGOs that deals with this sort of things. This is the reality of the situation. And so, just like these workers, I also feel if Malaysia were to loudly protest Trump's third world trade deals, we probably just get the worst of it. We might just get some form of economic retaliation, or maybe even some other form of problems, that will just put us in a worse situation than we already are. Now, some of us obviously would like to think that there is such a thing called justice in this world, and you can expect great forces, maybe God, to come to your aid when you are subject to exploitation or injustice. Let me assure you that you cannot expect any such thing. There is no such thing. All the third world bosses in Malaysia, for example, who exploit and arm twist the foreign workers in our shore, are doing fine. They've been doing it for donkey years, for decades, and they are doing fine. They have gotten rich and they've made a lot of money from their exploitative and unjust third world deals. Probably today they are a respected member of the society also. And no God, no great forces have ever come to aid the millions of foreign workers that have been exploited for decades around the world. Ask any foreign worker around the world. Now, in the same way, I'm more than sure that Trump's arm twisting through his tariff and third world deals that are clearly lopsided in his favor will make America rich and prosperous, just as it has made all the third world bosses in Malaysia as well, the rest of the world, rich and prosperous. So rather than act like a foolish foreign worker who confronts their third world boss by thinking that great forces will come to their aid when they stand up against oppression, against exploitation, against injustice, and only end up worse off or indebted or even beaten up for their action. I think it is better to be a smart foreign worker. There is smart foreign workers also. It's better to be a smart foreign worker who focuses on what they want, not harp on the fact that they're being subjected to injustice, oppression, and exploitation, and try to engage with the third world boss in a more effective manner. Now, there are obviously smart foreign workers, not only here, but in the rest of the world as well, who have successfully engaged with their third world bosses to the extent that they have come out better off through the interaction with their third world bosses, even if it was initially unfortunate and like exploitative. They would have somehow, if you do it effectively, if you engage with your third world bosses effectively, you can somehow or other maneuver and come out better off than how you entered the interaction with them, how you entered a relationship with them. Now, these foreign workers, these successful, these smart foreign workers, they didn't complain that their third world boss were unjust to them, that they were forced to sell their sovereignty and self-respect just for the sake of eking a living. Don't go to that self-pity place. Instead, they accepted that they are in a position of disadvantage, engage with their third world bosses in an effective manner, focus on getting themselves out of the condition of desperation that got them trapped into a deal with the third world boss in the first place, and made the most out of a bad situation. Now, because of that, not only did these smart foreign workers come out of their condition of desperation that required them to get entangled with these third world bosses in the first place, they also managed to better their situation. If originally they got into the problem because they were in debt, or because they didn't have skills, they didn't have knowledge, they didn't have contact, they didn't have network, through their engagement with the third world bosses effectively, by engaging with their third world bosses effectively, they managed to overcome that. So they got out of their position of desperation. Maybe they got some better network, maybe they had some resources, had some skills set, and they managed to better themselves through their engagement through the third world bosses, even if originally the engagement with the third world boss was exploitative, lopsided, and maybe you can say unjust. It was basically an unfair deal, unfair relationship. In the same way, rather than rule our condition, Malaysia's condition, or confront the global third world bosses that we have to engage in, perhaps it's better for Malaysia that we just take stock of our situation, determine our aims and objectives, and create a pathway forward for us, while accepting that in the present time, whether it is Trump's America or Xi's China, one way or another we are going to have to engage with the third world boss, because that's how the world is changing. Now the world is changing, either in the east or the west, we're going to have a third world boss, so might as well we accept it and learn how to deal with it. The truth is, when life gives you lemon, you have to make lemonade, not just complain about how unfair it is, that your life is so bitter, although you're such a good person. The truth is probably that we are not such a good person. After all, we got millions of foreign workers anyway, right? Maybe karma is they call it karma as a boomerang. What goes around comes around. One day you are at the top, you are the third world boss exploiting others. Guess what? In a different day, you are the guy at the bottom and there is somebody at the top exploiting you. This thing, if you believe in karma, this thing is going to happen to America and Trump too. Right now they are at the top, exploiting us. One day, hey, you never know, karma is a boomerang, as you say. So with that, I shall end this episode with the hope that you have a good day. Thanks for watching, guys. See you again in the next episode. Bye bye.